As one of the founding members of YSL, you are saying that Gunna snitched.
Didn't everybody got the same ears I got? Unless you were deaf and blind. You took a plea saying that you the main artist, brother. You the main artist, my brother.
One of the co-founders of YSL is not too happy that rapper Gunna took a plea deal in the Young Thug RICO trial, and he doesn't hold anything back. SiriusXM's Mina, SayWhat, Llona is back with us to talk about it. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Things are getting even more tense as the trial of rapper Young Thug unfolds. The Grammy Award-winning rapper, whose real name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams, is facing 8 criminal counts, including conspiracy to violate the state's RICO or racketeering law down in Georgia. Now, this is part of a wide-sweeping indictment against him and what was originally 28 other defendants, although a number have taken plea deals. Now, prosecutors claim that the defendants are all part of this criminal enterprise, that Williams is at the head of it, like he's a mafia don, that he co-founded a street gang called YSL, or Young Slime Life, back in 2012 that has just caused absolute havoc and chaos. I mean, we have people who are charged with murder, aggravated assault, robbery, theft, illegal firearms possession, and we're still in the jury selection process of this case. We haven't even gotten to the actual substance of anything yet. But the latest issue to come out centers around rapper Gunna. You see, Gunna, whose real name is Sergio Kitchens, was facing a RICO charge when he decided to take an Alford plea. Now, this plea deal, it's basically where someone pleads guilty, but they say that they're innocent. Like, yeah, I didn't do it, but I know prosecutors could probably have proven their case at trial. So what ended up happening with him taking this deal is he had 1 year of his 5-year sentence commuted, the remaining 4 years suspended. He was released and he has to do 500 hours of community service. Now, he can be called to testify, but he can invoke his Fifth Amendment right. Now, he has gone on and issued a statement that says, quote, "While I have agreed to always be truthful, I want to make it perfectly clear that I have not made any statements, have not been interviewed, have not cooperated, have not agreed to testify or be a witness for or against any party in this case, and have absolutely no intention of being involved in the trial process in any way." Now, the reason that's curious is because when he took this plea in open court, maybe he didn't say the exact same thing.
And do you acknowledge the following statement? I recognize, accept, and deeply regret that my talent and music indirectly furthered YSL the gang to the detriment of my community. YSL as a gang must end. Is that your statement or acknowledgement?
Yes.
So, with that, now we have an interesting issue. And the issue is that YSL's co-founder, Mondo, is not too happy with Gunna for taking this plea deal. Now, before we get into it, I want to bring back in our very special guest who's been with us as we cover the Young Thug trial, award-winning radio host and multimedia personality, Mina, Llona, a.k.a. Mina SayWhat. Mina is currently on air nationwide on SiriusXM's The Heat with her show Mina's House. She's also heard on WRNB FM 100.3 Philly weekdays, and also her weekly podcast, Mina's House Podcast, can be found at minasaywhat.com and all podcast platforms. And if that wasn't enough, listen to this. She's also a feature writer for the Philadelphia Tribune, and Mina joins us once again. Mina, good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me again. So soon at that. There's so much going on.
Every day.
With
every day there's something. And I told you, we're probably going to have you back on probably every week. I want to, before we talk about what Mondo said, for anybody who doesn't know, who is Mondo? I mean, what's his role in all this?
So Mondo says that he's the co-founder of YSL, but to be honest, that's the first time I'm hearing of him. As we have talked, the other co-founder of YSL actually is involved in this case and is one of the people who took one of the plea deals. So there has been some back and forth between Young Thug and Mondo regarding who the co-founders are, but it's very clear that they were all friends and they grew up together and they formed this group to make music. And obviously the group started to become more popular. Young Thug became the head of this music label called YSL. And then obviously, later on there was a debate regarding, well, who started it? Who was the first person? Who was ground zero? So Mondo is not a name that I've been familiar with prior to this. And in fact, I did a little digging on Mondo. Apparently what happened is he's not involved in this indictment and this case at all, because he was in jail. And he said when he came out of jail, he wasn't really involved in YSL. So to me, it seems like someone that was initially involved went and did some time, removed himself from the collective after that. And it doesn't take away the fact that he was there in the beginning. It doesn't take away the fact that he was there at the formation of YSL, but it seems like he has been a little bit removed, which is why he hasn't been wrapped up in this case and why he is now free to speak on it.
And boy, does he speak on it. So with that as a context, let me lay the context here. So Mondo sat down with rapper Murphy Lee of the St. Lunatics on his Ugly Money podcast. And when I said he really didn't hold back when asked about Gunna, he didn't really hold back. Let me play some of this.
My man did what he did. He did what he did, man. I ain't putting no cap on it. I ain't sitting here putting no, hey, man. He did what he did, man. Boy, you didn't supposed to do that, my brother. Even though I didn't be talking about it. Everybody who got common sense, everybody who's been in the streets, no, you did not. But you don't do no like that, my brother. So you can't say, oh, they tricked me, or oh, I ain't talking no, I don't know what's going on. And ooh, come on, my brother. It ain't no, it's no, you know what I'm saying? Certain shit you just don't do.
Mina, what do you make of that?
I make of it as, I thought it was interesting that he calls him my brother, because obviously they formed this collective together. So there's a friendship there, which we spoke about in the last episode. So there's a friendship there. There's a level of respect for him to say my brother, but you did wrong. You panicked. You did wrong. You panicked. You said what you needed to say without thinking about the implications of what you're saying. And he says there, it's not okay for you to say, I don't know, or they tricked me or whatever. You know, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you said what you said. It's recorded. And whether you believe that it, you know, you didn't say anything or you did nothing wrong, you did something wrong. And you know that. I know that. We all heard what you said. You are wrong, my brother. So it's the sense of, yes, I have a loyalty to you or friendship to you. You're my family, but you did wrong here, and you put Young Thug in a bad position.
You mentioned the panic word. Let's hear what he had to say about that.
Who doing that? Hey, boy, you didn't have nothing. Your shit gonna get dropped, brother. You know that, bro. What the hell? You panic. Now, that's when I need to bring back the panic word. You panic, brother. You panic, man. Your sister going back and forth about it, brother. You panic, man.
Okay, so like you said, he says that he panicked. What did he mean by the drop comment?
So that's street lingo that I don't want to explore so much. But what I will say is he is a guy that comes from a certain environment, and in certain environments, you know that this is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be loyal. You're supposed to be strong. You're supposed to be a collective. You're supposed to be a unit, and no one's supposed to say anything. That is how the street code works, right? So in you saying something, although you didn't believe that you said much, you said a lot and you violated the code, and you know that doesn't fly. So I find it interesting with Gunna because there's kind of like a split idea on what he did. Some people are like, you're part of this collective. These are your friends. You're supposed to ride or die. You're supposed to be loyal. That's the street code. You've signed up for this, right? You can't say, hey, I'm a part of this collective. And then when it gets hard, now you're like all of a sudden, oh, I didn't do anything. But then there's another side of people that say, well, if he was in, a part of what they were doing, but he didn't commit any crimes, right? Maybe he was in the room, or maybe he was around some of the questionable things that were happening, but he himself did not commit any crimes. Why would I not say anything and speak to my innocence? Hey, I didn't do this. I wasn't involved. And then cop a plea deal. So there's varying ideas on that.
But if he never testified, let me rephrase, if he never admits anything on the stand so he can invoke his Fifth Amendment right, is that going to change any of the way people perceive him? Like, okay, he took a deal to get himself out of prison, but if he doesn't actually provide testimony against Young Thug or anybody else, why should people care?
It doesn't matter. You already said something. Whether it's you said it on the stand.
Yeah, in the open court, yeah.
Judge. Right. You said it in open court, whether it's during Young Thug's trial or not. you said something that implicates him. I mean, there was not only the admission that YSL is a gang, but then there's also the question of Gunna and Young Thug were stopped together by police, and they found guns, drugs. They had a slew of charges. He said in open court, these weren't my things. They weren't my drugs. They weren't my guns. So if it's you and two other people in the car and you're saying it's not me, then it's like you're kind of pointing to the other people, hey, it was them. So it's like it puts him in a precarious situation because he might not have been involved, and that's why he took the plea deal. But in him taking the plea deal, whether he goes and testifies in Young Thug's case at all, they have that on the record already.
Let me ask you this. How much sway does Mondo's words have? I know you said that, kind of read up about him a little bit about what his actual involvement was with YSL. But now that people are seeing this and hearing it and it's circulating, how much does it matter what Mondo's opinion of it is?
A lot of it matters. People don't care. He's attached himself to YSL. It doesn't matter if it's the high level person or the low level person. Maybe it's the guy that hasn't been around for 3-4 years. He's still attaching himself to the collective. So people are going to believe what he said. He didn't just speak about Gunna and Young Thug. He also spoke about his Young Thug's relationship with Lil Wayne. And part of the trial is allegedly Young Thug had rapper with Lil Wayne's bus shot up. Like shot at. So for you to then go in a podcast and then say when Lil Wayne and Young Thug met, they didn't really click. Young Thug kind of felt like Lil Wayne was a little standoffish. What are you doing? This is something that they literally will bring up in court if they need to. So at this point, I don't know why anyone in YSL would be speaking at all when the trial hasn't even started. All of this is not good for Young Thug. This does not help him. This hurts him. This corrodes his defense. And it's really irresponsible to be talking about a case that is not even started yet.
Mina, when this trial starts, it's going to last maybe a year. I don't think this is the last of it. I think this is just the beginning of what we're going to see and hear outside of the courtroom. I mean, you and I have already talked about what's happening inside the courtroom or allegedly happening inside the courtroom with alleged drug deals happening. Mina, love having you on. I'm probably going to have you on, in the next day or so, because something's going to break from this trial. But
it's unfortunate, really.
It is. Because, it's kind of a distraction about what this case is really about and whether or not prosecutors can actually make their case against the multiple defendants. Mina Llona, Mina SayWhat, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that's all we have for you here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.